Thanks. I guess I'll give you a short background to me and kind of why I'm here and why I'm interested in this. So I spent 5 years teaching at the Korea National Maritime University in Busan, South Korea. So I really do come from an education background. I find that education of ocean issues and now delved into the realm of sustainable seafood is really important and something that's often overlooked. And then I also worked with OceanWise as well. I was in their remote Toronto office for 2 years. And then since relocated out here to beautiful, beautiful Halifax, back in my alma mater, I did the Marine Affairs program here, and I'm working with the Ecology Action Centre, which is a collaborative member of SeaChoice. So I'm also the SeaChoice Atlantic Canada representative. So that's just sort of a bit about me. I'm also going to time myself because I talk a lot. Okay, so just a brief overview. SeaChoice started in 2006, so we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary. OceanWise celebrated its 10-year anniversary last year, so we can see sort of some similar themes with where sustainable seafood has come and sort of the movement. I think we can, I don't like the word movement, but I think we can use it here. So just a brief overview of the program. Some successes, I'm not going to dwell on them. And the main thing that I'm here for is yesterday, what day is it? Wednesday, World Oceans Day. We released what we believe to be the first comprehensive study of sustainable seafood that is available in Canada. So we took a look at data from StatsCan and DFO in terms of import, export, re-import, re-export, and production in Canada. And we came up with some really neat statistics. So statistics can be neat and they can be interesting. So I'm going to show you some of those. So the taking stock report findings, for me, the things that I found the most interesting, we're talking about things like red rank species that are produced, imported, and exported from Canada, and then traceability and labeling, which we've already heard a lot about, which is great. And some musings about the future of sustainable seafood and some final remarks. I don't really have a conclusion because I don't think I have a conclusive presentation, just some sort of remarks and input as to what I see. So an overview of the program. So this is sort of one of our tags, make smart seafood decisions for today and tomorrow. And I think this goes to sort of the OceanWise mentality as well, is that consumers have a role to play. And we've seen over the last 10 years, consumers are starting to demand, and we use the phrase sort of vote with your wallet, vote with your money. We've seen sort of a lot of non-confidence in perhaps government science and assessments and what's available. So all Canadians have a role to play in supporting healthy oceans, and one of the simplest things that we can do is slightly shift our purchasing to show what we support and what we don't support. So that's sort of one of the caveats of the program. SeaChoice is complicated. Who are we? We're kind of everyone. We're everywhere. Currently, we have 3 member organizations. At one point we were 5, now we are 3, maybe 3, which is perfect for a Venn diagram. So I'm part of the Ecology Action Centre portion. We also have Living Ocean Society and the David Suzuki Foundation. So all of these organizations have members that work on different aspects of seafood, ocean science, ocean conservation, and where we kind of all intersect is this sort of SeaChoice world. We have 2 full-time staff members based out of Vancouver that are sort of the hub of SeaChoice, but really it's a bunch of different people working on a bunch of different projects from several different organizations that all kind of filter into this collective called SeaChoice. What do we do? Wonderful question. I often ask that myself. We do a lot of things. So Loren talked a little bit about scientific assessments because we also use the Seafood Watch criteria. We try and push for Canadian species to get assessed there because sometimes we're overlooked. Canadian species that kind of remain in the Canadian market might not be important to the US market. So we do assessments. Another key part of our organization is our business partnerships. So we focus primarily on retailers here in Canada. So working with retail partners looking at their procurement, working with their supplier partners, and helping them make goals, year-by-year goals or 5-year goals as to what species that are less sustainable that they should swap out with perhaps a more sustainable option. We work with primary producers like mussels and oyster farms, things like that, and we try and promote those products like the Tennebucto Bay trap-caught shrimp to suppliers that can sort of distribute that sustainable seafood to a wider array of customers. We also have a lot of dialogue with the government, that is with our member organizations as well, a little bit with SeaChoice in the middle. As a not-for-profit, we have to monitor our political activity, but we do have a lot of dialogue with the government, DFO. Consumer outreach, which I think falls into the education category here. We do things like events. We have lots of materials and publications which you can go outside and collect. We have an EAC booth over there. Social and traditional media, of course, is very important to get your message across these days to a wider number of people. And talks and lectures such as this one. This is what I won't dwell on, which is great because it's kind of boring. Green, we do follow the traffic light system, which is green, yellow, red. Red, don't buy, avoid, there's some big problems. Yellow, it's not the best, but it's better than red. Green, go for it. Fill your boots, eat all you want. And so we didn't come up with our program in a vacuum or alone. As Lorraine mentioned, we use the Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch program, which we're part of the Conservation Alliance for Seafood Solutions, which is a big group of a bunch of North American organizations, mainly not-for-profits, that work on things like sustainable seafood. And one great thing about being part of this, we help develop our program based on input from lots of different people doing similar things around North America. Some were city-based, some were aquarium-based, some were regional-based. So we have a lot of knowledge here, and every organization that contributes has its own strength. So while someone might be looking at human rights abuses or traceability, others might be looking at small stock assessments and owner-operator vessels. So we really have a breadth of knowledge here. Some of our 10-year SeaChoice successes, just to give you an example of what exactly we do. I know our name isn't very well known out here. Again, sort of a West Coast-based problem. So we started in 2006. I think I put circles, yes. Started in 2006. We were one of the founding members of the Alliance, so helped to grow and create our program. We got our first North American retailer in 2008. We worked on initiatives such as groundfish trawl fishery and encouraging partners to source fad-free canned tuna, so some of our sort of business or market-based successes. And in terms of government, so taking a look at Manitoba fisheries, that has since prompted a government review of the stocks in those lakes there. And this one, of course, is a little closer to home, taking the government to court over GMO salmon. So we're still working in that realm. Okay, so taking stock. So after 10 years of working in the Canadian market and trying to get people to make more sustainable seafood choices and trying to get them to ask where the fish was caught, how it was caught, and whether or not it's a good choice, we kind of wanted to see where we stood, where we were in sustainable seafood in Canada. And what we realized was there wasn't a lot of data, there wasn't a lot of information, and no one had really done this before. So we decided to take that on. We wanted to take a look and sort of see where our hurdles were, where opportunities were, and just sort of have a place where all of this information can be aggregated. So I only printed like 2 copies, save the trees as well, right? Save the seafood, save the trees. But it's available online, and it was just released on Wednesday. Some interesting stats that you may also find interesting. Canada is the 7th largest seafood exporting nation in the world. And as someone mentioned earlier, our domestic export balance is about over 50% of our production is exported. So we're a huge export nation. And you can see here it's broken down by species, which you can also notice a lot of them are Atlantic species. As you may well have guessed, most of our exports go to the US, a huge amount. And these are just, I'm not gonna dwell on these, you can find them if you wanna look into more detail, just sort of giving you the brief overview. So for production, our top 20 species, you can see at the top we have shrimp, herring, farm salmon, and snow crab are sort of the top ones. So that's what we produce either catch, so this is aquaculture and wild capture fisheries as well. So if you have production minus exports, so when we export the most, we export shrimp, lobster, snow crab, Atlantic salmon. And those colors are associated with their sustainability ranking. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. And then our imports. So if you take a look at the color differentiation of sort of the top half of the graph, you'll notice that we're importing a lot of red and yellow, and that huge bunch of gray means it's too generic, poor labeling. We don't know what it is, so we can't assign a sustainability ranking to it. So you can see that we export yellow and green, and of course the big red farmed open Atlantic salmon. So we're trading our relatively good stuff for some question marks and some red stuff. So what happens when you do production minus export plus import? You get your trade balance, which is what we're left with in Canada. So this is what we have in Canada. This is what we have to choose from when we're at the markets or restaurants or what's available from suppliers. So you can see that one of the big concerns, or sort of one of the flags for us, is a very small green section, 11%. 13% for red. I mean, I'm okay with that. Like, I can live with that. But this giant 27% of unranked, unspecified, not species specific seafood, we just don't know what it is. Where do NGOs fit in? I think we kind of touched on it a little bit. I guess it's good to say that, you know, Canada has, the word seemingly robust laws, policies, and management for both fisheries and aquaculture. You know, DFO does stock assessments, fisheries management. We see things like words thrown around like precautionary approach when setting tax or quotas. There's lots of acts and policies in place using words like best practice, ecosystem-based approach. But I think what a lot of the ENGOs recognize is there wasn't necessarily strict or robust adherence to those policies. And our trade balance doesn't really seem balanced when we're exporting sustainable stuff and importing unsustainable or question mark stuff. So I guess ENGOs kind of fit in here as sort of an additional filter, and have been working a lot with retailers, restaurants, and suppliers to, instead of sort of push for the policy change, because the policies already seem great, to sort of push from a markets-based approach, aka voting with your wallet, voting with your money, to therefore spur change further down the line and hopefully on the water. So there's lots of NGOs in the world. There's Oceanwise, MSC, ASC, blah, 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 Natureland, Friends of the Sea. And are we doing anything? Are we changing anything? This was a question we kind of wanted to ask. So if you look at the trade balance of what's available in Canada, and if we take a look at, because obviously working with SeaChoice, we have very detailed data for all of our retailers over the years and their procurement and the sustainability of it, we notice a big difference in retailers that are SeaChoice partners and then what is generally available in Canada. What we see is a huge growth in the best choice, or green option. We do see the giant yellow section. I call it the sea of yellow. We're wondering what to do with it, how to bump the yellow up to green. We also see a dramatic reduction in red ranked and unrankable, or sort of the undetailed species. Okay. So in terms of trade balance, how did we get that red 13%? These charts really speak for themselves. In terms of our production, the #1 red ranked or avoid by tenfold is farmed open at pen Atlantic salmon. If we take a look at our exports, it's clear. Our number one red main export, not by tenfold, by, oh, yeah, tenfold again almost to the next species. Farmed open at pen Atlantic salmon. And then in terms of our imports for our big red species, we have farmed tropical shrimp, farmed salmon, and skipjack tuna using FADS, or fisheries aggregating device, which is sort of in addition to the gear type, which usually means there's lots of bycatch. So our key findings for this is that the least sustainable seafood by far produced in Canada is farmed open at pen Atlantic salmon, which accounts for about 72% of our red. The other thing is that we should avoid these top 3 seafoods, which are our main imports. Those are kind of our findings. Not necessarily a huge surprise, but good to have that data and that information. And also, I think, hashtag ocean optimism. If you take a look at this, if you want to make a difference, we can just focus in on one thing, right? We can just focus in on improving one type of aquaculture operations. So if you want to look at the flip side of that, I think that's a hashtag ocean optimism. We don't have to work with tons of different fishing fleets in different regions. It's kind of an isolated, isolated way to target our focus so that we can decrease the red ranked species that are in our market and that we're exporting out to the world. Okay, traceability and labeling. I have a super awesome 3-minute and 50-second video for you that I made, because when we're talking about ocean education and getting information to people, obviously not everyone can be everywhere at once. There's definitely been lots of webinars and things that I've wanted to attend but haven't had an ability to. And especially with people's short attention spans these days, I always find that videos get the message across easily and well. And of course, they're accessible to more people and more areas. So I'm just going to play this little labeling and traceability. The audience is general public, so we had a nice in-depth conversation or presentation about labeling and traceability. And this is, I guess, sort of a summary of another way to describe it to people that have no idea what we're talking about.
Labeling and traceability of Canadian seafood. Let's start with seafood labeling and why it's important. Proper labeling can help us assess the sustainability of seafood, because in order to determine its sustainability ranking, we need to have some information. More specifically, we need to know what it is, where it was caught, and how. Knowing the species' scientific or Latin name helps avoid confusion, as one type of fish could have a variety of different names based on things like language, culture, or region. We also need to know where the fish was caught, or, if it's a farmed fish, where the farm is located. Knowing the origin of the fish can help us pinpoint more specific information about it, such as that particular species' population health and abundance, or that region's management rules and regulations. Knowing the catch method, or gear type, can inform us about environmental impacts on other species caught in the gear, or other impacts on the larger ocean environment. So, when talking about fish being caught from all over the world and sold in Canada, labeling that can tell us the seafood name, location, and catch method would allow us to make informed, sustainable choices. Unfortunately, not all seafood that is imported into Canada has this level of detail accompanying it. When looking at the sustainability of imported seafood, a small portion is green ranked, larger portions are yellow and red ranked. The biggest portion, that indicates seafood we simply can't rank because we don't have enough information, hence unrankable. Why is 40% of imported seafood considered unrankable? Well, the primary reason is that most of this seafood is imported with generic or undetailed labels. Would you buy other types of food labeled like this? Having a generic label means that you can have a variety of fish from different regions, caught in different ways, all clumped together in one box or one package, making it nearly impossible to differentiate one from another. Where does all this generically labeled seafood go? A lot of it goes into things like fish meal or fish oil, but over a third of it, we actually aren't sure where it ends up. Your frozen fish sticks, perhaps? Let's take a look at rockfish for an example. Currently, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency only requires the seafood's common name to be labeled. In this case, the common name rockfish can actually be referring to over 100 distinct species of fish. So how can proper seafood labeling help? With better labeling, we can more easily trace it back to its source to see where it came from. We can also assess its environmental sustainability to promote healthy fisheries and aquaculture. Another benefit is not just knowing where it came from, but who is involved in the supply chain along the way. So, when importing seafood into Canada, we're simply asking that they be accompanied with proper labeling. You can help by demanding better labeling and traceability wherever you buy seafood. Just remember to ask, what is it, where was it caught, and how was it caught? Then take a look at our SeaChoice Seafood Guide to see whether or not it's a good, sustainable choice. You can find it on our website at seachoice.org, or if you have an iPhone, download our app to answer your sustainable seafood questions on the go. Celebrate SeaChoice's 10-year anniversary and learn more about sustainable seafood by visiting our Facebook page, following us on Twitter, checking out our photos on Instagram, or by visiting our website. To read our report, Taking Stock, Sustainable Seafood in Canadian Markets, click here.
So another way to, when we're talking about data in complex systems, I think, for me personally anyways, videos are always, you remember images and music and audio a bit more than you do data and graphs. So I believe my time is up. Thank you very much, and I look forward to having conversations with people about many things. And if you want any information, we have sort of Atlantic Canada specific handouts at the EAC desk there. So.